Oh no, I'm not
Aaron
ready yet.
Whitlow.
Are we live? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Abort. No. Aaron Whitlow from the Markout Movie Podcast, and I am joined by Craig Williams.
Hi.
Hey, Craig and
Formerly
I.
of Kill Screen Cinema podcast.
Yeah, of Kill Screen. Yeah, let's represent Kill Screen. And also, if you go to YouTube, Bagged and Bored series, excellent series. Check it out. What season are y'all on now?
So we're still finishing up season 2. We have 2 episodes out right now of season 2, and we're trying to get 3 done, but COVID kind of screwed us up, and other unforeseen life developments for people. So
the election of 2020, perhaps. No.
Not so much that as like people having kids or losing their jobs or whatever crazy life stuff that happens, and like so we're trying to get it done. We're getting there, but it kind of we had such plans.
Everyone did.
We had such plans. It will be done though eventually, and so season 1 is on YouTube, and episode 1 and 2 of season 2 is on YouTube, and it's a really good, fun show that I feel like a lot of people say it looks like something that should be on TV, which I take as a great compliment, because I think, when someone tells you I made a web series, it's locally made, I know me personally, I automatically assume it's crap. I automatically just think, oh, that's nice, good for you, but in real it's just like, oh, good luck with that. Yeah, pat them on the head, exactly. But then when people when people actually watch it, though, I think they're absolutely shocked at how good it is. They're just like, oh, this is a real show. Like, this could be on Netflix or something,
Yeah. I'm blown away by everything that Pixel Brain does. And Matt Gaither and the whole crew. Y'all very, very talented blokes up there in Louisville.
Thank you.
I try to pull out some of my not Aboriginal ancestry, but some English, I guess, is a little bit in there. to represent. I'm going to represent, even though we know how I got there, but we ain't going to,
Wait a minute. You're not British? This whole time.
This whole time I've known you. But yeah, in today's episode, we are going to be discussing none other than Die Hard. Let's go ahead and play the trailer.
It's Christmas Eve in L.A.
California.
Is Daddy coming home soon? Well, we'll see what Santa and Mommy can do, okay?
A New York cop, John McClane, has come to see his wife.
I missed you.
Instead, he's going to have to save her.
Sit down.
Within this skyscraper high above the city, 12 terrorists have declared war.
They're about to be taught a lesson in the real use of power.
They're as brilliant
because I am interested in the $640 million in your vault
as they are ruthless.
But I'm telling you, you're just going to have to kill me. Okay. We do it the hard way.
Now, the last thing McClane wants...
Think, damn it, think!
...is to be a hero.
Where's Holly? Hey, Tucker! Where?
But he doesn't have a choice.
What does he think he's doing?
Job.
They have already killed one hostage.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm wearing a pizza?
He's inside? Who is he? Who are you then? You are most troublesome for a security guard.
Sorry, wrong guess, huh? Would you like to go for double jeopardy?
Do you really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Yippy Ki, mother. You just destroyed a building. And I am in charge of this situation. Well, I got some bad news for you. Come up here, then look like you're in charge of Jack.
He is alone, he is tired, and he hasn't seen Diddley squat from anybody down here.
Hey, pal, how you feeling? All things being equal, I'd rather be in Philadelphia.
And you have it.
Only John can drive somebody that crazy.
He's an easy guy to like.
Come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs.
And a hard man to kill. Bruce Willis. Die Hard.
Got invited to the Christmas party by mistake. Who knew?
No, it's not in theaters soon. But hey, those are some I have a dog behind me now. Those were some well-placed explosions to cover up the profanity. So
yeah, I was just thinking that.
Hey, just conveniently, I guess they're like, hurry up, explode something. No, but it was Die Hard, 1988. That movie came out obviously in 1988, starring Bruce Willis, Alan Rickman, and then Reginald Val Johnson. I'm just gonna really name them.
Yeah.
And let's see. Right now, the numbers. It has 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, 72% on Metacritic. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 94%, and 91% of Google users like this movie, Craig.
Oh, so. That's one of the few times I agree with the audience score.
Yeah. Man, so first of all, let me ask you this. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Oh, God. There was a time I would say yes, but I'm so sick of people saying that I almost want to be contrarian now because it's so annoying to me when people are like, Die Hard's my favorite Christmas movie. And I'm like, okay, like, fine, whatever. I mean, it's definitely, here's the thing. It's set in Christmas. I'm going to make this argument. It's not a Christmas movie because even though it is set on Christmas, there are no Christmas elements to it. He doesn't kill someone with a candy cane or, dress up as Santa Claus or, do anything really like strangle someone with a thing of tinsel. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't.
I keep seeing Santa's sleigh whenever you describe this.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So like, it's barely like the Christmas parts of it are barely present in the movie at all. So it's cute to say it's a Christmas movie, but no, I don't think it's a Christmas movie.
Okay. I have been in the camp of saying it's a Christmas movie. I feel there's enough elements like there to kind of dub it as such, as far as like essentially you got this big bad Grinch of a character in Hans Gruber that's wanting to steal Christmas joy, but in this sense it is like a lot of money. You have the one Who from Whoville that wants to stop it and change things around. Except for in this case, the Grinch doesn't get a heart that grows bigger. He just gets thrown off the top of a building. But but no. Ultimately, regardless if it's a Christmas movie or not, it's an excellent movie nonetheless. So
sure, yeah, I'll agree with that.
So this movie starts with Bruce, and he's on the plane. I forget the guy he's talking to, who nobody cares. The guy is very noticeable, by the way. But I noticed something watching this not the second time around, maybe the 1,000th time around. I noticed that the eye that the stewardess gives Bruce, she gives him a look like, hey, if you ain't going nowhere, it's Christmas. You should come hang out with me. So I don't know where that's gonna go. It would have been a totally different movie.
Yeah, it would have been. I just imagine Die Hard where like he ends up hooking up with this stewardess instead, and then Hans Gruber just gets away with it, and that's the movie.
Or like where in this movie, this version of Die Hard, Bruce doesn't. McClane doesn't show up at Nakatomi, but instead he goes and hooks up with the stewardess, and he sees on the news that Nakatomi Plaza is like under a terrorist hostage crisis, and he's like, "Oh man, I should have been there." He's like, "Oh well."
Yeah, whatever. This is better. I made the right choice.
Come back to bed, honey. It's cold out here. You're right. And pours him another drink.
And she's just massaging his feet. It's almost like everything is better because he decided to do that.
Yeah, and Hans gets away, and nobody really gets hurt except for Tamagotchi or whatever the guy's name is. I forget his name. The one guy that they end up ultimately killing.
Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't seen Die Hard, people die.
Oh,
Die
great.
Hard. It would be not called Die Hard if that's not the case. But yeah, so he goes to this Christmas party, ultimately to essentially rekindle his relationship with his wife Holly, and ends up, in the midst of a hostage situation. Under the guise of a hostage situation, it's more of a robbery.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that Hans Gruber is by far one of my favorite villains in cinematic history.
Yeah. He's he's definitely one of the best villains. Like I think I think he's basically your prototypical arch European, sophisticated villain. You know what I mean? Like I guess you could make an argument that the James Bond villains are that as well, but like I don't know, like I feel like Hans Gruber, I feel like Alan Rickman really just sort of like made a different impact. I think he made as much of an impact on what a villain could be in an action movie as Bruce Willis made an impact on what a hero could be in a action movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. It makes so much sense. Actually, that's a good way of looking at it. Like, essentially, both of those characters changed the very definition of what a protagonist and an antagonist is in a action movie. Because before then, as you know, we had the Stallones and the Schwarzeneggers and the Norrises, and maybe I even throw in the Bronsons. Well, maybe not so much the Bronsons. He hasn't really hit that little moment at that point. He already made Death Wish, but he wasn't really, gearing up in that level. But I think that Bruce changed it and made it like it's okay to have a comedic type of, villain. So not villain, but hero.
If I want to just jump in real quick about Bronson, I feel like Bronson is one of those armchair action heroes where it's like he if you watch Death Wish, he actually really doesn't do anything like actiony. Like he just kind of like
shoots people.
He just shoots people and then like says some sort of quip, but like it's not like he gets into a shootout and has to like do half of the stuff that Bruce Willis's character, like that John McClane has to do. And then that's kind of how it is with all those Death Wish movies. He doesn't really, he just kind of strolls through the situation and shoots people and then just kind of like, makes a smart aleck remark about it, and then that's that. I feel like that's kind of always been Charles Bronson's thing. He's not really a action. He doesn't get put through the ringer that much like an action hero you would expect an action hero to.
He's the Steven Seagal of elderly action heroes in the sense of Steven never in all his movies he never gets hit. He never really goes through anything. He's just there.
I get the impression that Steven Seagal's like he's like one of those when it comes to like picking scripts for action movies. He's kind of like how a fat guy, me being a fat guy, speaking for all fat guys, will choose their walking destination based on what's downhill. Like, oh, I don't want to go that way. I have to go uphill and up some stairs. Let's cut through here the longer way. That's more of an incline.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's like, this script. Oh, this is a nice script. But wait. You actually got to run in this script?
Hard
pass.
I'm just gonna saunter if that's okay.
Do you mind? Yeah, just saunter.
But the house is on fire. I think it'll be cooler if I saunter out of the burning house.
That is totally Steven. But obviously, and also in researching this, looking at the movies that made us, this movie was initially going to be a vehicle for very elderly Frank Sinatra.
Oh yeah.
Because Frank, the movie, the precursor to this movie is called The Detective, and it came out like in 1960 something, something like that. When there was a fairly not younger Frank, but a middle-aged Frank Sinatra that could still kind of go. But by the time this movie was getting in the works, they asked Frank, and Frank was like, "Dude, I'm like 90, and no,
Yeah.
I'm good, and I'm rich, so don't,
Yeah.
I'm all right." And so they passed it on. They contacted Clint Eastwood. They contacted a little bit of everyone. Stallone, Schwarzenegger. Everyone said no to this movie, and they reluctantly was like, "All right, well, let's try this Bruce Willis guy."
Yeah.
There's a Moonlight. Let's try this guy. You know.
Yeah. Which is, it's funny because, of course, looking in retrospect, it's easy to say, like, of course you should try Bruce Willis, but like I actually still remember as being, even when I was a kid, I still remember uh when he was a TV star, and so how weird it felt to see him in a movie. Like I remember, like, because I remember when my dad like rented Die Hard and Bruce Willis was like running around shooting at people, and I'm like that guy. Like it would be like seeing like Bull from Night Court, or it'd be like seeing like someone or Matlock or something like that, like Andy Griffin just running around shooting people. That's because back then a lot of people don't realize it because TV is better than movies nowadays. But like back then, when you were a TV star, you were like that was like the lower echelon. You were sort of like like the TV star was down here and movie stars were up here. You know what I mean? And like
Yeah.
these people don't go here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You're
Uh,
right. You're right about it. You can actually see that type of dynamic in what's that last Tarantino film? Um,
oh,
Hollywood.
yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You kind of see that dynamic in DiCaprio's character, as he was a big time, not only TV star, but I assume he did movies too. But he was a big time star at one point. But now he is at the point where his career was that's bringing him in just to be this random villain or random, you know. And so, but it's hard. Like he's peaked, and
Yeah.
people that was in the silver screen didn't really translate over to the big screen. Like like
Yeah.
you said, there's a void that they couldn't pass between. So
Hmm.
yeah, you're right about that. I do remember Moonlighting and him doing this. When you said Bull, that's hilarious because I remember Night Court. But I kind of think about it is my experience in watching this would have been like seeing Pee Wee Herman
Yeah.
in a horror film. You're like, hey, like, all right,
He
no,
kind
I
of
got
was
a,
in a horror film.
yeah, I actually have a real life, uh, example of this. So, Three Men and a Little Baby. I was as a kid, I was aware of Ted Danson from Cheers. So
Yeah.
seeing him in Three Men and a Little Baby, I was like, hey, that's the dude from Cheers, and
Yeah.
I didn't process it that this is not Cheers.
Yeah.
This is not Sam from Cheers babysitting a kid.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
a totally different character right now. So in watching Die Hard as a kid, it was like I was like I forget his name on Moonlight, but I was like, that's the guy from Moonlight. Like, what's he doing? What's he doing? Like, yeah. I
It's like,
agree with that.
yeah, it's almost like, there was a movie I used to watch all the time as a kid on HBO during the day. It was one of those movies that I always call like sick day movies because like when I'm homesick from school, this is one of the movies that always seem to be on. It's
Mhm.
called Second Sight, and it stars
Balky.
Balky and John Larroquette. So it's like two famous sitcom actors in this B movie. It was pretty much a B movie
I love that movie
about
though.
it's Balky plays like a psychic, and his powers only work if you give him like candy. Some certain candy like makes his powers work. and like John Larroquette is sort of his handler or whatever. Like he was the one that was always like getting them gigs. And I loved that movie, but at the same time, the only reason I watched it was because it's Balky. And that's
Absolutely.
all I saw was Balky.
Matter of fact, every time I see that guy, all I see is Balky. I don't care what it is. I think he's at one time a writer on SNL, and I was like, hey, that's Balky. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I just seen like a quick picture, and I seen him, and I recognized him. I'm like, it's Balky. He's a writer. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. But no. Google said, let me pull Balky for you.
Did you name your Google Balky?
I thought about it. I thought
Hey,
about bringing it back. But yeah, so just this movie is a uh perfect pile of ingredients that's just put into a pot to create like what's the chance of John McClane in LA, a New York officer, a New York detective in LA, there at this one building during the time that that there's a hostage / robbery happening. And let me ask you this: do you feel like it would have been a totally different movie if this guy would have found shoes early on?
you know, yeah, I mean, because like I think that here's the thing I think that's missing from a lot of action movies now is like I think action movies work best when the hero is vulnerable and he's not he's beatable. You know what I mean? You gotta the only way you can really be invested in them. I mean, they're gonna win, but at the same time, like you kind of want to see them deserve it, I guess, or earn it. And like it's kind of like with Indiana Jones, like how in those Indiana Jones movies, he gets beat up all the time. Like he doesn't just win effortlessly. You know what I mean? He has to actually struggle to win, and he gets his ass handed to him sometimes. And then he has to use his brains to think of a way to sort of like, you know, cheat to win or do something to it's kind of like when he shoots the sword guy, you know what I mean? And
I
so
love that.
yeah, and that only works though because we don't see him using that gun all the time. You know what I mean? If he was using that gun all the time, then it wouldn't be as funny, I don't think. I think it's funny that he just pulled out the gun that one time.
Yeah,
It was just like,
really,
I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing a sword fight.
absolutely. That's actually pretty funny. And the thing about John McClane is that he is such a um, everyday type of guy. At the
Yeah.
very beginning, you see that he gets into the limo in the front of the limo with Argyle, and
Mhm.
he's talking to him. I love the fact that they play Run DMC, and he's like, "Do you have any Christmas music?" He says, "What are you talking about, man? This is Christmas music." And he cranks it up. But it's like at the time when I was a kid, I was like, "What is this? This isn't Christmas music." But
Yeah.
but yeah, now it is Run DMC. But yeah, I love the fact that he's such a everyday type of guy, and I love in watching this again. I love his whole dialogue, his self monologue that he has to himself, like when he's like, what, John, what are you doing here, man? You know, you're up the wall, man. What's going on, man? It's crazy. You're gonna
Yeah.
die doing this. Like this, like he's having this internal monologue, like, dude, what the hell are you doing here, man?
And you know what? That's what anyone would do. I think like I think most of us would be like that if we were in a situation like that. And like I think that's something when I was watching that trailer, it made me think about how one of the reasons also I think that Bruce Willis and John McClane, like Bruce Willis as an action hero and John McClane as a character made such an cultural impact is because I don't think up to that point we've ever really seen an action hero who was funny. I think like, you had your Arnold Schwarzeneggers make a quip every now and then or whatever, but for the most part, Arnold's movies were pretty much played seriously, so was Sylvester Stallone and Clint Eastwood. Like none of these guys who were big action stars were really known for being funny in their movies. And I think that was something that might have been refreshing to audiences when they watch Die Hard. Is like when they watch an action movie, they probably don't expect to laugh so much at a hero making little jokes, like when he was like in the trailer when he was just like calling for help, and they're like, "Sir, this is a serious line." And he's like, "Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?"
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and he sells it so well, like Bruce Willis sells it. He delivers those lines so well. It's great,
Yeah, my favorite line of his is, "Come out to the coast, you have a few laughs, you have a few drinks, have a few laughs." Like just so
Yeah.
yeah, listening to essentially I was hearing Holly's voice, and Holly was saying, "Just come out to the coast, we have some drinks, we have a few laughs," and he's like, "Come out to the coast, have a few drinks, have a few laughs," But yeah, I agree with that. I think that uh, this whole movie works because not only Bruce but Reginald Vell Johnson, um, Al, not yeah, Al, big Al. Wait, what? Carl on his name was Al on here, but his name was Carl on Family Matters. But
yeah.
which the dude plays a cop well. What can I say? But
Yeah. I mean, wasn't that his like big break? Like, he was just like, wasn't he like, oh, I forget. It was on that movie. It was on that the shows or the movies that made us, right? Talking about how he was basically like about to like call his mom for money, like,
yeah.
And then he finally got this, and that kicked off a bunch of cop roles, and he was like, "I'm fine with that."
I will be typecast,
Yeah.
But yeah, he in that movie, the movie when he read for the part of that officer, he actually read against Wesley Snipes.
Oh wow.
And he won the role over Wesley. But I was wanting to go back to what you was talking about, like you never seen a lot of not comedians, but action stars being comedic, and that's where Bruce was. He was that new prototype of a action star that can be that could be comedic. Whereas we had like Beverly Hills Cop that came out in '84 with Eddie Murphy, but Eddie Murphy, I never took him as an action star. I always took him as a comedian in an action movie. Whereas with Bruce, I take him as an action star that is funny. And as a comedian, you can kind of talk about that a little bit more. So,
well, I think it's like, I mean, I think it's hard to shake if you're a well-known comedian. It's hard to shake that image enough to be taken seriously as an action star. So, like, like I haven't watched Beverly Hills Cop in a long time, but like, I'm sure like Eddie Murphy is good enough. He's a good enough actor that he can pull it off. But like, it's a tough thing to do. I think Bruce Willis had the advantage of not being known for comedy. Like, I mean, his character in Moonlighting was, if I remember correctly, he was funny in that too. He was sort of like a smartass kind of character, but like, but still, like, he wasn't like he wasn't like Mr. Comedy guy. So I think he had a little bit of I think that helped him be taken seriously as an action star first, and then him actually being funny was a nice bonus,
I agree. I think that not only was like the script had a lot of comedy in it, but this movie is who's who of '80s characters, not only characters but character actors that you like would know. Like obviously we know Paul Gleason as his detective Dwayne Robertson in this movie. Paul Gleason, we know him from Breakfast Club. He was the principal. Mess with the bull, you get the horns. But he was so funny in it, and just like the line where the FBI agents die. He says, "I guess we're gonna need some more FBI agents." It's just like it's so cold to say, but it was. But he said it so straight. He's like, "I guess we're gonna need some more FBI guys."
Yeah.
But yeah, he was funny. Then we're gonna talk about the Dickless Man. You know what I'm talking about? He was in Ghostbusters. I'm referring to him as Dickless.
Walter Peck.
Yeah,
Oh,
is
that's
that
right. He's the news guy in this.
yeah, the news guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
what I think his name's William Atherton.
Yeah.
Thornburg, but he was he was in police. He was in Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
That's right. This man has no dick. But
am I like for some reason I want to say that the actor, the German actor who played Vigo in Ghostbusters 2 was in
yeah,
he's in this or
yes,
second one? This
no,
one.
he's in
Okay.
this.
Okay, I thought so. I thought so.
It's funny because I was watching this for the thousandth time, like I said before, and today was the first day I noticed. I was like, "Oh, that's Vigo," because I seen it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's Vigo, the Carpathian. He's right there, you know." And I was like,
Yeah.
I was amazed just to see that man again. It's just he was in this movie. Another thing I want to talk about that was really funny that happens in this movie is the news anchor guy. So there's a news anchor that gets like, all right. So Thornburg yells at him for some reason and says, "Don't cut for me." Or da 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 da. Da. And he like gives him like, and then like they go live. He just like goes straight to like, and now Channel 5 News. Da 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 da. But then like later on, they had an expert, a terrorist or hostage expert on, and the hostage. He's like, we call it the Helsinki syndrome. And then like the dude was like, that's in Switzerland. No, he says, that's in Switzerland. And then he's like, and then he said, no, Finland. And he's like, just
So
kind of,
he's waiting to hear. He's
like
waiting on air to like hear the right thing.
Well, he says the guy says is Helsinki because the expert was like Helsinki, the Helsinki syndrome, and then like the news anchor was like, and that's Helsinki Sweetland, Sweden.
Oh.
And then like the expert's like, no, Finland, and then he's like, oh, but he didn't just like have a look on his face like, oh, I was wrong. He had a look on his face like, okay, I'm just gonna go along with what you just said, and I don't want to be embarrassed on TV. It was just like a subtle, and that's I don't know if it was the actor or it's the writing, but it was just a subtle little part that was just hilarious, and I didn't even notice it. Just like, and that's how you can tell you have a good product with you find like little details that just stand out to you like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm always pointing not to like not to bring it back to self-promoting, but like I'm always pointing stuff out like that out on Bagged and Board to our cast because I totally mark out for that sort of thing where I notice like a nuance to their there you go. I notice like a nuance to their performance that I just love, and whereas when I see that kind of thing in a movie, I can't really go to that actor and be like, I loved when you did this thing, the way you did this thing in the movie. With Bags and Board, I can actually text or hang out with the person and be like, the way you deliver that line, and then you like looked like you had this expression on your face, like you didn't know what to say, like it was just so great. I love details like that. Is my point, like nuances that actors will just sort of like put into their performance without prompting. They'll just kind of like come up with it themselves.
And that's what's brilliant about like things like it reminds me of one of my favorite movies. To back away from Die Hard for just a moment, one of my favorite movies is Revenge of the Nerds, and although it doesn't line up with Me Too today, I will say that.
Yeah. Boy does it ever.
but in 1980 something, it was fun. But anyway, but there's a scene in that movie where they are this is when they're doing the triathlon type of the little Olympic thing they got, the Greek Olympic thing. All right, and they do a like Booger. He's doing the hand thing, but I think he digs in his nose first, and then like he goes to do the arm wrestle thing, and then like he just he beats him because she's like, "Oh, what's on his hand?" And so
Yeah.
he lets him get beat. But then and that was funny. But then when he runs back to the guys and hugs everybody, Robert Carradine, I think, when he hugs him and puts his hand on him, he does a little subtle thing where he looks at his hand like, But it's just like it's not probably in the script. It's just something that the actor does, but it's just so funny. Just like little things like that. Just like
Yeah.
you know.
You know what's funny? I have a kind of a sort of funny story about Revenge of the Nerds real quick, but I remember last time I watched that movie was when I was on a fishing trip with my dad and my brother, and we were in the cabin. And it was like raining or something, and like there's it's a cabin, so there's not very many choices of stuff to watch. So Revenge of the Nerds happened to be coming on, and my dad was just lying on the couch, sort of like in between napping and watching the movie. And like he didn't want to watch Revenge of the Nerds. He hates the movie. And so like me and my brother are just like, oh come on, it'll be fun. We haven't watched it forever. And so we're sitting there watching the beginning of it, and that Revenge of the Nerds song is playing, like the Revenge of the Nerds. And like the whole time my dad is just like belly aching and complaining, is like, this is so stupid. I hate the nerds. I hope the nerds die. And like every time, and like my brother and I were just like looking at like across from each other in the room, and we were laughing so hard we had tears in our eyes, just because of how it was just it's one of those things where you kind of had to be there, I guess. But like just the ambient noise of the nerds laughing with their nerd laugh, and then our dad, and then just how much hatred our dad was like permeating at the movie, just made me and my brother die laughing at each other from across the room.
That's hilarious, actually. Yeah, I mean that's what's up, man. And now this dog is barking. But anyway, I guess he hates nerds too.
Yeah.
But yeah. So also Die Hard has that one. It sounds racist. That one Asian actor.
Yeah. The only one in Hollywood.
You know what I mean? The one guy that is like usually a villain in all action movies. He has the big mustache and the little bald-in mullet thing.
Yeah.
You know who I'm talking about. I believe he was also Genghis Khan and I want to say he's Genghis Khan in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
I might if I saw him. Here, I'll look him up.
That guy. But yeah, he's in this movie. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice this, but he has like a love for candy in this movie, and so I never noticed this until I watched it today.
Yeah.
That he just is always eating candy in this movie, and also Carl, the guy Carl, in this movie, he was a. I didn't know that he was a ballerina. He was like a actual dancer, like a ballet dancer. The big
The
dude,
tall, big dude. Oh, that doesn't surprise me at all. Yeah.
where his brother, what is his name? Freak John McClane kills his brother, and Hans reads the note. He says, "Ha ha ha." That's just how he says it. I don't know why Alan Rickman read it that way, but he's like, "Got one of yours." Ha ha ha, something like that.
Yeah.
He just that's another thing, just the way that people deliver their lines in this movie. What did you say before? Yippee Ki, mother. But all right,
real quick before we move on, I just want to ask you a question. Do you have Nickelodeon in your background?
I feel like it. No. So, backstory,
like a Nickelodeon situation back there.
Well, if I say something, slime will come down and slime me. So I don't know. No. But what it is when we first moved in, I don't know. It was like my wife was like, "Hey, you should paint the wall orange," and then I paint this wall green, and we have an orange and a green thing. in the living room. I'm like, yeah, I guess it could work. It doesn't. So it looks like I have. So
It
it looks like I
works
have a half
if
of a green
yeah,
screen over here.
it works. It works if you're hosting Double Dare in your living room.
It works if this was in the '90s and this is Nick and what's it? Nick and not Nick and Night. What are the Saturday dicks called?
Nick. No, wait. Snick.
Snick. Yeah, yeah. Oh man, Are You Afraid of the
I
Dark? That's
lived.
good
I
stuff.
lived for Snick.
Yeah, that was my stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, this ultimately this movie, and that's how I feel about it. Ultimately I feel like this movie is just one of those movies that's timeless. Um, and obviously it's one of the better of the movies. It is the better movie. It's the best movie out of the series. Obviously, the only one that will come close to it to me is Die Hard with a Vengeance. I don't
Yeah.
really even count all the other ones. They could have just did Die Hard and Die
Hmm.
Hard with a Vengeance as a
Yeah.
direct sequel, and it would have worked for me.
It would have worked for me. Although I Die Hard with a Vengeance. Did you know that wasn't supposed that script wasn't supposed to be Die Hard? That they just took some sort of random action movie script and was like, let's make this Die Hard. And they're
I
like,
did
well,
not
just
know that.
yeah. It wasn't. That's why all the riddles and all the other weird stuff that's in it that doesn't really feel like Die Hard kind of things. That's why all that's in there. And then they just sort of like kind of wedged in that Jeremy Irons character is related to Hans Gruber. Just sort of like wedged that in to sort of tie it together with Die Hard.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, that makes. I didn't know that, but
It's still good. I love that movie, but yeah.
it is, and I love. He's like, hey man, are you okay, Jesus? He says, why you keep calling me Jesus? That's what the kid called you back there, Jesus. He said, no, my name is Zeus, not Jesus. He's saying like, Zeus is in like the God of Thunder. I'll stick a lightning bolt up your.
Yeah.
But Die Hard, Die Hard, and this is some of the movies that made us reference to that Die Hard goes about creating that new genre of films where they say this is Die Hard on a fill in the blank, Die Hard on a plane, Die Hard on a
Yeah.
bus, which is what Speed was essentially supposed to be. Die Hard
Yeah.
on the bus, Die Hard in the White House, Die Hard this or that. But
Mhm.
I think that's what it speaks credit to volumes of this film and its lasting imprint. So
Yeah. I mean, Fifth Element was Die Hard in space.
with literally John McClane.
Yeah. Exactly.
How did I end up in space this time? It's like
I mean,
it's
he
like
was the same character. Like
really was.
Corbin Dallas is exactly the same character as John McClane.
I think Bruce at this point has played John McClane in more movies than just Die Hard. They're like, okay, he's like, how do you want me to play this character? And they're like, if you could play like you're a New York City police officer or detective and you just happen to be somewhere when something happens and I don't know, you take down the bad guys and you're pretty funny about it, just play it that way. That's all we
Yeah.
want. Oh, so it's John McClane. You want me to be John? No, we can't technically tell you to be John McClane, but if you want to sprinkle a little McClane in there,
Yeah. Pretty much.
but no, Die Hard it was a good movie. Little thing about it. At the very end of the movie, I found this out. So uh, whenever they dropped Hans off the top of the Nakatomi Plaza, that was actually he didn't know that Alan didn't know that he was about to be dropped.
Yeah.
He knew that he was going to be dropped at 3, but they said release him at 1. So they said
Yeah.
1 and then like released him. So that look on his face is true fear.
Yeah.
But hey, I handed it to him. He held his gun. He held onto the gun. He didn't drop the gun the
Yeah.
whole way. I would have dropped it. I was
Yeah.
I was in Die Hard, and I thought about this watching this movie. If I was in Die Hard, Craig, there's no way I would have lasted throughout the whole movie. If I was in John McClane's shoes, or not, no shoes in this case, The moment that I cut my foot on something, I tap out. I was like, I stomp my toe. I'm like, I'm out.
Right. I would have been like, with the people in the building, one of the hostages or whatever. I would have been, or okay, if I was in John McClane's shoes and they didn't even know I was there, then I would just like chill and have a drink and be like, it's not my money. You know what I mean? Like I ain't gonna go and try to kill. I ain't gonna try to go out there and catch bullets to save like some dude's money.
It's not my money.
Yeah.
Like he just like open the door and look like and see it's terrorists like.
Yep, that's pretty much it. I mean, yeah,
Just barricade the door and like I'm just gonna chill on this desk with a bottle of Jack. Just
get myself nice and drunk, and then if people ask why didn't I do anything, I'm like I was drunk. What did you want me to do?
And then that'd be the perfect excuse. They're like, okay, that's fine. But also I want to mention this one guy, Ellis. Ellis is a so he's the guy that was like the yuppie business guy, like Johnny baby, come on, let's make a deal. You know, the coke
trying to steal McClane's wife, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He said, "Hey, you want to show him the watch?" Which, hey, that's a and they came back later. That's something. But yeah, he's like, "Show her the watch." It's a Rolex. Yeah, but I love the fact that he thought that he can go and win over, like to essentially be the businessman, a salesman with Hans Gruber, and he's like, yeah, I figure. So this is what it is, guys. So you're trying to do your thing. I don't care if it's terrorists or whatever. You know, it's not my business. Whatever, you know, it's whatever you want to do. And you got this one guy that's put the monkey wrench in your program, and you want him to be taken care of so that you can just come do what you gotta do, let us to go, and go on with your life. I understand. I can help you. He says, Hans, like, oh, you figured it all out by yourself, did you? But it's like I love that he just condescendingly is like this idiot, you know. And they even bring the guy a Coke to drink. He's just
it was a good scene too, because like if I remember correctly, spoilers, like he gets killed, doesn't he?
Yes.
Like like they just shoot him at some point. But like I think it's great because it really you need a scene like that to sort of show the difference between Hans Gruber and a yuppie sort of dude who thinks he's smart, you know, or whatever. Because like Hans is like is such a charismatic and sophisticated character. It's almost kind of easy to almost kind of it's easy to like him. You know what I mean? Like it's almost kind of be like I actually kind of like him, and so
like
you need to show,
effect.
Huh?
Like the Negan effect.
Yeah, like the Negan effect. But so you have to have him kill, like you have to have him do something vicious to show that he's actually not as sophisticated as he presents himself to be. He's actually kind of a brute, or a monster or whatever. So you don't. It's like wrestling. You don't want to like you want to give him heel heat. You don't want him to have like face heat, and so when the actual baby face comes along to kill him, the audience gets mad. You know.
Hey, that's a really good analogy. It's it reminds me of the Macho Man and Jake Roberts feud, that program where Jake, when he was a heel in this time frame, Jake was still lovable. We all like Jake the Snake Roberts. It was Jake Roberts. He had to do something truly despicable to get people to really hate him. And what did he do? Have Macho Man Randy Savage get bit by the snake, by a cobra, nonetheless. And he smacks him, and oh man, I remember watching that like, oh my gosh, it's just like, what in the world? This is real. I remember
hearing about that. I was like,
school. That is a cobra.
I remember hearing about that in school. Like hearing in school, people were like, "Oh, did you hear Macho Man got bit by a cobra?" Like it was so funny, like hearing about wrestling stuff in school because they all took it so seriously. Hulk Hogan got his neck broken by the Undertaker. Like all that stuff.
You remember when you remember when Hogan was wrestling and Zeus shows up and Zeus snaps his neck and he just goes falling on the ground convulsing? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I wonder if he's gonna live.
Papa Shango gave Ultimate Warrior a curse.
Oh my god. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. You know, we was really truly marks back then. Like it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
like I remember I remember I remember I was in high school. I know this is not Die Hard, but I remember in being in high school taking a tape episode of Raw, and I think it was Roddy Piper. I don't know what it was, but Roddy Piper was feuding with Goldust, and there's like this is or maybe it's either Roddy and Goldust or Razor and Goldust, but it's one of those two. But this is like the lead up to like say a pay per view, and I showed it. I don't know why the teacher let me show. This teacher liked me because he let me show whatever I wanted in class. I was like, hey man, instead of us doing work today, because I guess he didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, instead of doing work today and learning science, will it be okay if I showed this episode of Raw? and he was like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. He didn't.
Yeah, I had a teacher like that. My art teacher in high school. He was a good teacher, but he trusted my taste, and like he would let me bring in Mystery Science Theater episodes or movies. Like we watched The Fifth Element in school or in class while we were doing art and stuff like that. Back when it was new, when it was a new movie.
But yeah, I remember watching that episode, man, and can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. I remember watching the episode and like I think Jake one of the people hit Goldust, like hit Dustin Reynolds, hit him, and it was a potato hit. You know, in wrestling, that's when you really throw a blow and make it look really good, but it's still you're not trying to hurt the guy. But that happened, and I remember watching that thinking, oh, and I showed this to the class, and I remember this one guy, I forget his name, he was like, wrestling's so fake. Oh, it's so fake. Look at that, it's so fake. I'm like, it's real. I remember like going super saying, it's real. You know?
It reminds me, your reaction reminds me of like this reference will go over probably a lot of people's heads maybe, but like it reminds me of Avery Brooks in an episode of Deep Space Nine, where Star Trek Deep Space Nine. There's an episode where Cisco kept having flashes that he was a comic book writer in the 1940s, and like he was trying as a comic book writer in the 40s, he was trying to get a comic book of Deep Space Nine made, but like the publisher wouldn't do it with a black captain. Like they kept saying like the captain can't be black, and he was just like he couldn't understand why, and then finally at the end of the episode he has like this nervous breakdown. You should look it up on YouTube because it's a great performance by Avery Brooks, but he has like a nervous breakdown about how like because he ends up he's also having flashes of Deep Space Nine. That's where he's getting the ideas. He keeps having dreams that he's a commander on the space station, and so he has this flash where he's like, "It's real to me."
It's real. Yeah, I think I've always wanted to see Deep Space Nine. I haven't watched that, but yeah, man. Is there anything else you want to say about Die Hard before we put it to rest? Not put it to rest. Never going to rest.
Not really. No, I think we covered everything. I can't think of anything.
Yeah, it's for those that haven't seen it. Die Hard is an excellent film, and it's it doesn't feel dated to me because of the action and stuff. I think it was actually very revolutionary for the action even in its time. Like they used a lot of models, small models. Like the Nakatomi Plaza blowing up was a model. But they actually there's a real.
It still looks good. Yeah,
and it's a real Nakatomi Plaza was Fox Plaza that's in California somewhere.
I've been there.
I've never been there. I would love to go there.
I went there for a business meeting. When I was working at Cafe Press, we had to go there for a meeting, and I was like, "This is Nakatomi Plaza."
This is where McClane jumped off the building.
It's weird that I'm not working at Cafe Press anymore. I wonder.
That's right. They're like, okay, hey Craig, do you mind going out and get us the coffee down there? I'll be right back. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you. We love you. Listen, guys, we gotta get rid of this guy. He's just standing out too much over here. You know, he's coming back doing McClane stuff. Just Craig, put your shoes on.
Yeah. Okay, he's got his shoes off. Yippee Ki, yay, motherfucker! No, don't. We're in a meeting. Don't say that.
Ho, Craig, come on, man. We definitely can't take him by the Myers house. So he's just standing and looking at people. They're like, oh, we can't take this guy nowhere. But no, that's pretty awesome. That's an awesome experience, man, to be able to actually go and see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say I enjoyed the movie. Me and Brandon typically give us our little marks for it. We give it range between 1 to 5 markouts. I'm going to go ahead and give you mine. I give it a 5 markout out of 5 because I think that this is a classic action film, and actually is the it is the building block to other type of action films that kind of follow the same formula, and it introduced us to another level of Bruce Willis that we have not seen since.
Yeah.
But seen before or seen since? No. Well, other than Fifth Element, as you mentioned. So after that, it's like, okay, I'm gonna dial it back, guys. We're just gonna dial it back. But your thoughts?
I'm going to give it a 1, and I'll tell you why. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'll give. Yeah, I think it's 5 for sure. I think it's still a solid movie by today's standards. It really did. I mean, it does. I mean, the significance of Die Hard as a movie sometimes I think gets eclipsed by the people who talk about it too much, I guess, or the people that are like, it's a Christmas movie, I guess, those types of people or whatever. But like, those, just even though those people, I guess the fans of it might mark out about it too much, it's still a significantly good movie and a significant movie in the history of cinema. I mean, it kicked off 3 careers. I mean, like, Bruce Willis was nothing before. I mean, basically was nothing before Die Hard. Alan Rickman was a stage actor before Die Hard. And then Carl Winslow.
It's gonna always be Carl Winslow.
Yeah.
Reginald Valentine.
To a somewhat lesser extent, nothing against him, but I mean, it did kick off his career for Family Matters and stuff. So, like, it made a lot of, huh?
I said before Urkel killed it, of course. So
yeah, it generated a lot of stars, and it also set the new tone for what action movies would be from that day forward. Like, people take it for granted, I think, nowadays, the idea of like a funny, kind of everyman action hero, but like, that was a new thing when this movie came out. This movie more or less invented that, and that can't be understated. So
absolutely. And before we close, I do want to say mention that so with every time I think of Alan Rickman, Alan Rickman. I keep wanting to say Reitman, but I know it's not. But every time I think of Alan, I immediately think of one of my favorite movies he's in is Galaxy Quest.
Oh,
and his he was such a great actor, man. Not only in that, but also in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, he was a great voice wise. But in that movie, just this little subtle thing, I love it. And I think about him, and when I think about him, I immediately think about this, and it'd be wrong if I didn't mention it. The scene when he's at the convention, and the fans keep coming up saying, "My grandpa Thammer," you know, da da da. You know, like he's like next, you know, he signs it. But then like, and then like the next guy comes up, and he starts to do that, but he has a little autograph, like the picture in it. My grandma, and he just snatches it out of his hand. It's the way he signs it. You can hear the frustration in the pen and the Sharpie. He's like, next.
I'm gonna be honest. That scene was in the trailer for Galaxy Quest or the commercials or whatever, and that was part of what made me go see it in theaters. Was I thought it was so funny how he snatches that picture out of his hand, and he's just got this expression of so much annoyance. And I mean that was a big part of what made me sort of think about like, oh, this movie actually might be funny. You know, like like it looks like it could have been stupid, but like, yeah, I think Galaxy Quest, while more people like it now than the, you know, I still feel like it's still underrated a bit. Like I feel like people don't, um, and when they trash Tim Allen, and I don't like Tim Allen, I think he's a garbage person, but like when people trash Tim Allen maybe as an actor, I always go, hey, Galaxy, he was great in Galaxy Quest. Like he put in a hell of a performance in that movie.
Absolutely.
That scene when he apologizes for lying to what's his face, the alien, and like and the alien is heartbroken. Oh, he's good. He's actually really like he's so, you know, there's so much pain in his voice, and he's like, I'm so sorry. You know, I'm like, damn, Tim, where did this come from?
It makes me want to go and watch Galaxy Quest for real.
Yeah.
There's like so many people in there. Tony Shalhoub is excellent. Sam Rockwell, he's good in that movie. Just I forget his name, Mitchell something. He's now in a wheelchair. That's my first thought. Is the guy's in a wheelchair now, but he played the dude. But anyway, so good, Sigourney Weaver. But
they all
so
get a chance to shine too.
Yeah, like, and the guy, we need your help.
Yeah, Veronica Mars's dad.
Veronica Mars's dad. It's funny because when I see him, I immediately think now Veronica Mars's dad. But when I look at that, I'm like, hey, that's Veronica Mars's dad. But such a great movie. Everybody was so good in it, and oh man, it just. But Alan, man, he just really was my favorite. One of my favorite people in that movie. He was one of my favorite actors, and I hate that we lost him. But you know, but I thank him for leaving behind a body of work that started with Die Hard. That we can enjoy. So
yeah, he gave I think every project he was ever in, I feel like he gave it a lot of legitimacy. And he gave it a lot of like he gave the characters he played a lot of enough depth to be like likable even when they were despicable. Like Snape could have been such a generic, like mean teacher character, but it was only because Alan Rickman was just such a good actor that he was able to make him sympathetic as as those Harry Potter movies go on, and his character has his arc. Like I think Rickman, he's such a good actor that when you watch all those movies and you know Snape's arc and all of the stuff that that happened to Snape before the events of the movie, you can go back and watch those movies again and sort of like see it in his performance. You know, you can sort of see his hatred of Harry Potter's dad when he looks at him. You know what I mean? Like and his jealousy of not being of not, you know, because he was in love with Harry Potter's mom, you know, so you can almost sort of see all of that in his eyes whenever he looks at Harry, you know.
Vicariously hating Harry. He's vicariously hating the father through Harry.
Exactly.
So, also, I love him in like he legitimizes stuff like Dogma.
Oh yeah.
Like you know, yes, sure, it has it had it had Matt Damon and Ben Affleck in it, but they were just fresh off of Good Will Hunting, not really big at that point, not really as huge, but you know, Alan in this film, I ain't even gonna consider Chris Rock. He was in it too and stuff, but Alan, he just he is just so good. Just the way he delivers dialogue, man.
Mhm.
Excellent.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
all right. Well, that it concludes the end of this podcast. Next week, Craig made a pick, and Craig, what are we watching?
We are gonna watch a new beloved classic. It is called The Fanatic.
There
it
it is.
stars John Travolta as a I've been saying he's mentally handicapped, but maybe he's more of like an autistic character. So he plays an autistic man who is obsessed with an actor played by Devon Sawa, and his obsession leads him to do like increasingly disturbing and dangerous things. And the movie is directed by Fred Durst. It's written and directed by Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit fame.
This is so
And
90s right now.
yeah, it's oh my god, and like it is. I saw it. I watched it for the first time maybe a week ago, and I'm still sort of unpacking what I watched. Like it's such a bizarre, poorly conceived movie, and it'll be a lot of fun to talk about.
I can't wait to watch it. A movie that has my dude from Idle Hands, Devin Sawa,
Mhm.
uh, also from Final Destination fame, directed by Fred Durst, who did it all for the Nookie, and starring the guy who was by all intents and purposes one of my favorite characters in Pulp Fiction. Obviously,
Mhm.
I like old John. I don't like John Travolta as much as Brandon loves John Travolta, but I like him. But I can't wait to watch this. It's gonna be fun. But
Yeah. This
all
is one
right,
of those movies that we would have watched back in our bad movie night days and
yeah,
had a ball watching.
yeah, it's what I can't wait. Well, on behalf of Craig Williams, Aaron Whitlow, we will be with you next week to review The Fanatic. I cannot wait to watch this movie. I'm gonna probably be texting you during it and being like,
Please
"Oh
do.
my gosh!" All right. Well, thank you all for listening and watching, and mark out with us next week.